Welcome, everybody. Maybe this is your first, second, or third episode of actually catching up with Financial Griot, but we are a group of Black millennials really trying to dissect our way in the world by talking money, talking finances, talking about budgeting, managing, investing, and even everything that goes in between as far as our physical health, our mental health, and our spiritual health. So that's the whole point of being a Financial Griot, the idea that we can talk about our stories, share in between, and hopefully you kind of glean some pieces of great tips and actionable items that you can actually take into your life so you can be more accountable to your own personal growth and hopefully move you from 0 to 100 or even $1 million net worth one day. So thank you. And today I am here. My name is Delva-Gonzalez, or Delva-Gonzalez, because I switched up and I became married, but I always kind of messed that up. And I have with me.
Hey everybody, it's lovely. I hope you guys are having a great day whenever you're listening to this. We're excited. This is our episode number 2.
I say you don't title the episode so we don't know which one it is. So they don't know which one it is. That's the whole point. Be professional.
Well, guys, you'll just have to hear that, or maybe we'll edit out. Who knows?
No, you don't edit it. It's no edits. It's all one cut.
It's just raw. So I hope you guys are having a good day. Thank you for tuning in. Like Lauren said, we're here to share, financial stories, and finance and wealth is spectrum more than just money. It's about your life. It's about you living a better life. And we hope that you guys literally are learning. And today we're going to talk about some things. Alainta's not here with us today. I think she said that, right? Like she's not missing just to be missing, right?
Maybe, because she did say her voice cleared up, so I don't know if she wanted to actually be on here, but either way, we're just going to be here until she probably catches on, and maybe we record another episode. Who knows?
Okay. Who knows what will happen. But we're going to get started. I'm going to hand it over to Lawrence because he's going to be the lead today and guide us into these conversations. He got a lot going on his IG world, I believe. So we were just chatting about that. So Lawrence, what are you doing up on Saturday getting all these things done and offending people?
Okay, I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going on with that, but I go by the Neighborhood Finance Guy, and you can find me on the website or even on IG. And typically on very early in the morning, I post because I started waking up at around 5:45, but I typically post about maybe like 6:30, maybe 7. And ultimately on Saturday, last Saturday, I posted about my morning. My morning was actually very productive. It was very, it sounds like it's more than it is, but let me go through it. So I wrote by 9 a.m. I already wrote 2 financial articles for the website next week because I like to do that ahead of time. I sent over documents for a national feature in one, not necessarily, I can't talk about it too much and you'll see it when it comes out. But for now, obviously I sent out more information to those guys, and I paid an invoice to expand a passive income opportunity. And I helped a friend. And ultimately, I hit the running trail. And I did about maybe, I want to say 3 and 4 miles, but it's not necessarily the one stretch. It's kind of more like a run, getting my circulation up and whatnot. So I did all of that by like 9 a.m. So I posted it. And obviously, some people liked it. Some people were motivated by it. And ultimately, we have some people that really disliked it. And typically, in Lawrence fashion, because I'm from Dade County, Miami-Dade, 305 stand up. That's what we do. If somebody claps at us, we clap back. But ultimately, I became a little bit more mature. So I started clapping back only at the things that I feel that we need to change in our community, in our mindset, and in the way that we live our lives. So one young lady stated that this is inspirational, Ms. Felt. How many of y'all can accomplish all this and have a toddler? ? But seriously, I respect everyone's grind. By 9 a.m., I sent a text to confirm my trainer. I was meeting him at 10. LOL. One of the problems with this is that, the truth is always masked in a LOL nowadays. That's kind of how we roll in social media. The ... dots are also a good indicator of sarcasm, of like non-empathy or whatever it is. It's like, yeah, I will say this, I respect everybody's ground, but in truth, you don't. Because if you did, you wouldn't have said those statements. And the statement that was troubling to me is because she really paraded her child as if it was the excuse to her mediocrity. I'm gonna call it what it is. Yeah, it hit hard. It hit hard. I know some people got real salty, But I grew up in a single parent home, and my aunts are, single parents as well. So I've seen, other people use their kids as excuses of not accomplishing anything. As if the kid was out the equation, she would have done something. I call that BS. I call that a lie, a pure on excuse, because in truth, before the kid, she wasn't doing ish. And after the kid, she's still not doing ish. And I called her out for it. I did it nicely. I didn't go like ham on her. I didn't go true Dade County on her. But it's the truth. I had to pull it out to her because she's trying to use the child as a human shield as to why it's uncomfortable for her to get up in the morning and do things. Because I've known, and we all know, many parents that get up very early and grind for their kids. So it's just kind of this inverse idea is like, hey, if you had a toddler in some way, shape, or form, you wouldn't accomplish anything. I raised my goddaughter. I babysitted multiple kids at once. I understand, not being a parent, that it's difficult to do a lot of things with kids at by even like 7 a.m. But kids, 9 times out of 10, at least the kids in my family, they will not let you sleep past 7. That's just the way it is. They'll literally poke you in the face like, bleep, 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 Lauren, are you awake? Some of them drooling, some of them spitting, some of them whatever. They're just looking at you and they're staring at you into your soul. So for you to sit there and not do anything, that's on you. And eventually your kid picks up on how life is, right? So if I go to my mom every time to wake her up and she doesn't want to wake up, then therefore I become inherently lazy as a child. And I wake up maybe at 8, maybe at 9, maybe at 10. Who knows? Maybe I stay up at 10 p.m. Who knows? So I just called her out on it. She did apologize slightly with a little bit of sarcasm, but I called her out completely. And even that call that she said she texts her trainer to confirm that she's meeting at 10. Let's be real. She texted the trainer to say, hey, maybe or maybe not, I ain't showing up. That's what she told her trainer. Did she make it to the trainer? I highly doubt it. I would take bets on it. And that's how, I feel. What do you think? What do you think, Lovely?
If since we're not recording this, if you guys will see my face, like we recorded this, but we're our faces. But my goodness, I think what Lawrence is saying, and I'll give you guys the more empathetic response. Is I'll give you guys the more empathetic response. It's pretty much that.
Wait, before you do that, I do want you to go look at this comment to really see it, like the entire thing. I want you to get it.
I did see the little dots. I see
it's on Facebook.
No, it's on
Instagram. By the way, guys, Alainta didn't make it, so she's here. That's why you heard her voice. So we'll say hi in a bit. So literally, what he's pretty much saying is we're the master of our time, right? So there are some parents that have really, really strict schedules. And they have what they call there's some, I can't remember it right now. I heard another mom say it. Pretty much you have your kids on a regimen, right? Where if they're a toddler and they're always, giving you a problem, most likely it's because they are in a chaotic system of regimen. Meaning that if every single day it's like this, what she was saying, there's probably a problem with the way you're building your organization and raising up the child. Will it happen sometimes? Yes, they're kids. They're still trying to get used to this world. But if it's an everyday thing where they're just out of whack, they don't have structure, that's probably why every morning it's that way. Where she's saying that, it's so chaotic. Well, it's chaotic because you haven't had the structure and organization. When you start giving them that system and structure, they start to kind of fall in line. And what he's pretty much saying is, if they continue to be raised in a place without structure and system, more than likely they're going to be the adult that doesn't have the structure and system, lack of completing things on time, lack of ability to start up. So I think it's really one of the whole thing about like, well, are you a morning person, a night person? All these things have a role, but some people could get up at 10 and still get a lot done by noon because of their system. Some people can get up at 5 and get a lot done by noon again because of their systems. It's not even the timing. It's more so the productivity. I think what he was saying when he said by 9 a.m. is just like, there's people that get up early, but they lay in their bed. They don't do anything. They get up and they're still on the phone. They're scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Facebook. 2 hours have passed. And then we kind of want to complain later on, well, my life is not productive. Well, what have you been doing with your time? at the end of the day, it's really up to you to decide, like, what are you going to be doing with your time and time management? And it's right. You can't snark at somebody else because you didn't do what you need to do, or look at someone else and pretty much say, well, I would have if X, Y, Z. The question is, when you did have the time, what were you doing with it? When you did have the capacity, did you do anything? Lawrence is making a big assumption that you didn't. I'm gonna go on record to say I don't know.
Nah, it's not an assumption. I clicked on her IG. You know how somebody claps at you, but you go look at their profile. You do the So you're the one calling me out. What have you done with your life?
We're gonna for the sake of just so the systems and everything, we're gonna make an assumption that we don't really know. Lawrence is voting that she ain't do nothing with her life. That's just what it is. She wasn't doing anything before the kid. It is what it is. But no, all jokes aside, before you comment, I think one of the biggest things is, Lawrence mentioned this, the whole challenging what we think is okay and norm. We do use a lot of things as shield, right? My boss, I didn't get a promotion because of my boss, or I'm overweight because, there's systematic racism and there's food deserts. There are obstacles in life, but you as a human being has a capacity. I don't know about me. I've been talking to Lawrence and Alainta about this discipline thing, right? And I did like this 3 days fasting and just doing water. And the reason why I'm doing these things is to penetrate that excuse mechanism. That's all it's about for me. The excuse of the reason why I couldn't, or the reason why my health's not on par, is because now I know the issue, right? Like for a long time, I didn't know these issues that I was having. Now I know it. The question is, do I give a damn about myself enough to do something about it? So I'm really trying to break the excuse of why something is not getting done. And I think a lot of us can benefit from understanding sometimes it's just as simple as don't swipe your card. Don't go to Target. You can now literally put in orders at Target on your phone, get what you need, pick it up. Don't ever roam the store and walk out. Like, so all these things that we say that we don't have control over, right? Well, there's the systems against me. We have oppression. These are things that are not necessarily not truths, but that means there are obstacles. And if there's obstacles, there means that you can overcome them. There means that you can jump, you can push, you can do. If anybody that's looked like you have been in the circumstances, whether it's the same or lesser or bigger than you, and they've overcame, that's a testament to you that you can do it. So I'm going to just start off the next segment of this whole idea of why do we think that there's a lot of things that are not for us. Like, we're monolithic. Black people can't build wealth. We need to build in silence. We're going to talk about that too, because there's all these enemies and people that are out to get you. Like these negative, what are they called? There's a word for it. Negative.
They call it negative Nancy's.
Well, yeah, negative Nancy's. But like, it's like literally thought form. There's a word in psychology, pretty much narratives, negative narratives that we keep speaking to ourselves are the reason why a lot of us are stuck. So we need to address some of these. So I'm going to go off and pass it to Alainta to say hi. And then we're going to get into some of the negative narratives, because the first one is, well, there's reasons why I don't get things done. So the next one, we'll hit it up after Alainta says hello to everybody.
Wait. I want to say that if people haven't noticed, Lovely goes on some rants and we don't call her out. Like, it's kind of weird because I don't know where to jump.
No, don't call me out about it.
Because it's so good. It's so good. Lovely's just
I be hating. I'm like, man, cut you. Land your plane. Clubhouse.
Okay, you always want somebody to land their plane. Let it breathe.
Okay, all right. I just want to
all the time.
All right.
All the time. Don't
Long's gonna call me out, and then you know what happens? I don't speak for a while.
Like exactly.
20-30 minutes, right?
Right.
You're gonna see that. I'll be real quiet in my little corner because I'm taking it all. I'm a what's that thing called? Not an empath, but I feel things. So I'll be in the clubhouse room just chilling, hearing everybody's thoughts, and I'd be like, that has like 4 things connected to it. Because I'm always thinking about the deep rooted problem. Because everybody want to scratch the surface, and I'd be like, but that's it's simple, but it ain't simple. But anyways, I'm gonna be quiet. Don't be calling me out, Lawrence.
Exactly.
I'm gonna be real quiet in my corner.
I ain't trying to call you out. I'm just saying that sometimes she out here on some rants. But go ahead, Alainta. What's up?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, my peoples. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I just finally met up with a good Facebook friend of mine I've been following for a while, and we just seems as though we hit it off, and we finally met in person and did a nice little trail in West Palm Beach. So that was pretty nice earlier this morning. Um, got in contact, and I was able to kind of pick her brain about being Black, Haitian American, and police officer for the Palm Beach County. So we discuss and dissect a lot of different topics: defunding the police, her take on the pandemic and violence that is surging in mental health. So, this morning just been such a great. You guys mentioned about productivity, and I had a really good productive morning. Finally signed up for the gym that is around the corner from me. I'm like, I'm here. I am here. I have arrived. So that's been cool. Catching up with my sister. Funny enough, ironically, was contemplating signing up for the gym as well. So I let her know that, hey, I got the all access pass. I got you anytime you want to go to the gym. So guest pass on me. So yeah, just productive morning. I got a few more things to do after this. Just trying to be more productive, man. Meal planning and start off my week on a good note. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, you probably couldn't do that if you had a toddler, just so you know.
I mean, I just leave that to my spouse. You know what I'm saying? I just leave that to my spouse. The funny thing, because what's her name? Lovely mentioned it. I'm one of those people where my system is really the morning, right? Even if I get up early and I may not do anything for the next 30, 45 minutes, I'm in bed swiping or I'm listening to a podcast or something. I'm really productive in the morning. If you could catch me in the morning, you could get a lot of things out of me. And I noticed that throughout the years is that once I tackle on things in the morning, I'm just more efficient to complete things throughout the day. So I think you just have to be that self-awareness of where you are. Like if you catch me anything after like 7, 8, and you guys caught me in the midst of that, like coming from work, commuting, whatever I'm doing, I'm not as engaging. I'm not asking questions. I'm not joking as much. I'm like, yeah, you guys heard me on Clubhouse a few times or Facebook, whatever, where, I'm just like lovely. I'm in the background. I'm just observing because my body is telling me like, hey, it's time to, simmer down. It's time to chill. And it's time to just end your day. And I'm shutting down at that point. I'm progressing to shut down at 9, 10 o'clock where I'm in bed, right? So you just have to kind of identify what is your most productive level. For me, it's the morning. Funny enough, I get up early in the morning on the weekend, but I do strive to get up much earlier on the weekdays as well. But I'm pushing myself. I'm trying to do as much as I can. But yeah, I am here. That is me landing the plane, LG.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So far, what we have here, what we have on this list, Lovely. I know I felt like I cut you off. Now she don't want to speak.
You see her with the lip. Lovely said,
I'm begging you. Hey, what do we have?
Said, I said what I said. So
like, okay, from what I could gather from what you stated, Alainta, it's about finding your right energy mode or whatever that energy time, your most productive moment. And some people that's in the afternoon, some people that's in the evening, some people that's very early in the morning. So it depends. You really have to knock that out and find out the best for you. And I think that's gonna help you no matter if you have one kid, no kids, multiple jobs, whatever it is. It literally sometimes like you catch me about like 3 or 4, I am zero productivity, nothing going on. Like I'm bleh, like ain't nothing popping, ain't nothing changing, but if you catch me early, I just, like you said, like, I just like to be up. And it's quiet, like so quiet, so peaceful at that time. Remind me of growing up in Haiti. I was like, yo, this is cool. Because everybody used to wake up 5:45. Not there's nobody straggling because we all had to be out the house. So by like by 8 a.m. or even by like 7:30 or something, everybody already had breakfast and everybody was already on the way out. And I love that idea. I love the structure behind it, because everybody had a place to go. The kids had something to do. And like I used to just go catch the top all the way to my school.
Oh yeah.
I was walking out there. So I was that kid that had that story that, hey, I walked 3 miles to get to school every day, both ways. I had all those stories, and to me it was fine. I don't know if the same for everybody else, but for me, I love it.
So we had the same similar upbringing as well, because my mom was a widow. I have to change that narrative, right? She was a single woman. She was a widow. But yeah, every morning it was the same thing. I think every parent does, not even Caribbean parents. They make that noise, like just banging, early 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, cleaning, trying to look for some kind of plot. I don't know what she's looking for at 6 o'clock in the morning.
It's always lost. It's always
lost. Or she finds something we didn't throw out the trash, which we normally do because we had a routine, right? My mom always wanted the kitchen clean. Me and my sister took turns, or my brother, whoever, the kitchen clean, nothing in the sink. When I say nothing, she doesn't want anything in the sink. And you have to make sure on the outer parts of the rim, like nothing's inside of it, no crust, no residue of previous food, and the counters are clean, the trash is taken out. And I take that with me as an adult, because I have an ingrained thing about having dishes in there too long. Like it's like a cringing feeling for me, where my kitchen needs to be clean. My bathroom is clean, and my kitchen specifically needs to be clean, because that's almost the first thing you see when you enter my home, right? And I want the trash out. So innately, we are getting these behaviors and these activity modes from our parents, because as annoying, and I'll tell you, my mom was hella annoying in the morning, but she had us a routine. Like when I was younger, me and my sister, no one can go out to play before you clean up the house. Like, the mirrors have to be clean, laundry had to be done. If she want errands, most likely errands are conducted in the morning, right? Or I'm helping her with laundromat. So there's an abundance of things to do. So there's no playtime until everything was conducted at home. And I take those behaviors with me as well. So when people say that, their children getting away, not to say that it's not a factor, but it's to say that you have those productivity and those energy modes innately within you when you kind of reference back from your own childhood, because my mom did it with no spouse. This is before, she entered a long-term relationship after my father passed away. So she didn't have any help, right? And she conducted us in a way where we had to be self-sufficient and to do things without her. But I seen that grandma when she was in the morning, like pushing and having everyone fed. You got, you're clean, go, right? So I have that too. So sometimes we just have to kind of reference back in our own childhood, like what have we seen and how have our parents or people that we have grown up with care for us, and how have their systematic activities or ways help us, grow even further. So sometimes you have to kind of tap back in, tap back in. Lovely, like
Lovely, seriously, she's like, it's like some sass for no reason. It's like, I'm gonna let them.
Okay. So
can I apologize? My goodness, I just called it out one time. I said, go in the preaching moment.
Oh my gosh!
Man, if you could see her face, she's like, I'm gonna let these people crash and burn. Like, we're in the same car though.
Nah, I'm not letting y'all crash and burn. I'm listening, Alainta. Alainta hit on some really, really good points. Like, it's true. There are things that my mom used to talk about. I'm like, this lady, oh my goodness, she's doing the most. But now you realize that you're disciplined, you have self-respect, you have integrity, you have character. And you're like, oh crap. oh yeah, when she used to talk about these things, they actually mattered. And sometimes we don't realize that our environments are teaching us good things. Sometimes we can only remember like the bad things, like, oh, Haitian parents, c'est ça la caille, l'école, l'église, for those who did not understand that, school, church, and home. So it just literally means that we're putting ourselves in a position where we only can remember some of the things that were not good, but there's a lot of things, especially in the Caribbean outlook, that you remember. I love when I go to Haiti, because I do feel like there's this spirit of like, what are you doing in bed past 6, 7? Like, that's, people will come knock on your door. Are you okay? Like, people are kind of confused. Like, can you even do that unless you're sick? And so it kind of sets up this momentum of like actually living life. And it's actually a mementos that I had when I went to Florida this week. And I came back and I just had this mantra within myself. This is like, you need to live. You need to actually do things that inspire you even more, and to actually be open to the world to share. Like, every time I start sharing my story, I realize I hit this wall where I don't want to share it anymore. And it wasn't until like this past week, I'm like, no, you need to live it, you need to share, because that's what brings inspiration, right? That the storytelling. And we don't call ourselves the Financial Griot just because we like griot, like the food, because griot actually means storytelling and sharing and talking about our history. And it brings me to question of something that Lawrence has been talking about, the whole building in silence, this thing that we feel as if telling too much people, that those people might have the energies or the forces to stop us from actually advancing, but we do a lot of disservice. And so when I speak up, right, I speak up and I say, hey guys, I'm doing an event in May of 2022 in Atlanta. This is our first event as a company. I need help. If I'm not speaking about it, I couldn't have, bribe Lawrence and Alainta with food and stay in a hotel stay to be helpers. Now I would have to go get volunteers. We would have to pay them. But now Lawrence and Alainta get to experience our first event. They will be speakers. They have other things that I'll have them do. But if I wasn't speaking about it, I wouldn't have gotten the help. And there's going to be other insights that we get, but we often feel like we can do it alone. And that's a disservice to our community. That's a disservice to our family. No one great makes it alone. Tyler Perry has these movies and he's done all these things, but if you talk about how many people he employs, it's in the thousands. So even though he's, everybody talks about how he writes the scripts himself, but even the production and everything, he couldn't do it alone. And so we need to be more open. And I'm going to let Lawrence talk about the sentiment behind the statement and the quote, but it's really important for us to be open because it really makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think you kind of covered it. From beginning to end. I would actually throw out, and I'm not necessarily the most spiritual person. I'm not going to quote no scripture here, but I always kind of understood the word differently than other people. And when I think about moving in silence, it's like we're moving away from God. 'Cause I don't think God wanted us to be silent. It wasn't. I don't think that's the stories that I learned, how I understood it or how I interpret it. The idea that you're moving in fear. You think that the other person is somehow more powerful than whatever he has for you, and that's why you want to kind of be quiet and silent inside or whatever. That's just fear. Yeah, maybe you still make it, maybe it still works out, but ultimately that's just pretty much fear. Of course, you don't share all your time, your effort, and your energy with the wrong crowd and the wrong people. That's just a level of discernment that you have to have. Not everybody is actually going to really help you move forward. But the idea of having these things like social media, and how me and my wife we ended up being on Business Insider. The reason we got there was because of everything that we did way in the past. Like the fact that I was writing on my LinkedIn. When I said I'm just going to write on my LinkedIn, some people liked it, some people saw it, some people shared with other friends. I was able to pivot that and move that over to a website. And from the website, people was like, "Oh, where do you have more stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, on my LinkedIn." So they're able to see it. And other people are able to kind of it's almost like a fact verifier. Like, especially if you're like a podcaster, you're like, "Oh, what has he been doing?" Now they see what I have been doing and they're like, "Okay, cool." And then amongst that person that did a podcast with me, he shared that with a friend of his. That's another person about Black wealth. And she had a podcast. I got on her podcast. Turns out she ended up getting a job because she's being more vocal. She got a job working for Business Insider. And then she hit me up and because all I did, and she even told me, I wrote it on my Facebook that one day I want to make it to Business Insider. And she said, "You know what? Back. I got that." And when people ask how did I make it there? I didn't do it. It was everybody else in between that helped me get to this certain point. And if I moved in silence, nothing would have happened for me. It just can't. Like it, yeah, you probably work harder and you probably try to build longer, but for the most part, none of this is actually very effective. And I think I want to challenge wherever we got that or picked it up from, especially in the Black community. I really want us to throw it away. Like just completely throw it away. You know, moving in silence, I don't subscribe to it anymore. I've seen
Throw
one
the
too
whole
many
thing
good
in the
things.
trash.
Yeah, just throw it away.
Yeah. And I think something key that Lawrence mentioned was discernment, right? We're not saying that you're showing up at the family potluck and say, here's my mega plans. We're saying that there's a space for everything for you to speak on what you're doing, and the right ears are going to connect with that vision. That's why I always say there's no industry that's really saturated, because the way I service a client, you may not service a client that way. The way Lawrence is speaking to a group of people about finance, Alainta might reach a whole different type of subset of people, but there's billions of people on the earth, and we are meant to connect to produce, right? Everything that has production to produce to multiply requires at least one other person. Yeah. Everything. It requires at least one other person. That also means that in the DNA of God, that collaboration is there. And what did God do to create? He spoke. There was a creation. You speak it into existence. But I'm going to talk to people that want to believe in manifesting without the work. Like, you can't just speak it without actually backing it up. Lawrence didn't just say, oh, I want to be a business insider. But there was work that was being done that led the foundation for him to actually be able to have that become something real. So he said what he wanted to happen, but like he said in the back end, he was writing on LinkedIn, like a whole bunch of articles. Like, I mean, I think his LinkedIn has over 50, if I'm not mistaken. And then that produced a foundation to create the neighborhoodfinance.com, financeguy.com. So essentially you want to make sure that while you're speaking, that people can also see it. So that's another thing. So don't just say, well, they're saying not to move in silence, but then you often are saying things, but not backing it up with action. So you want to say things that people can actually eventually see. Oh, you're doing this, you're writing this book. 2 years later, it's produced. Oh, I remember them talking about them writing this book and now it's in production. I feel part of this process. I feel part of, like, some people think they can just pop up and create a product and like, oh, it's going to sell overnight because moving in silence, and no one was primed, no one was prepped, no one has anything to connect with it. And so that's why a lot of us, our projects are failing, because we're unwilling to speak up. And so we want to continue to speak into the universe, or whatever you want to call it, but you also want to make sure that you're showing up as you say you are, because that's really another important part.
It's really, can you guys hear me? All right, I wasn't sure I was on mute, but for me, moving in silence hasn't really got me much a place that I'm proud of, right? Because moving in silence for me is silencing not only what I am experiencing, but also silencing my voice too, because you place yourself in isolation in assuming that you're the only one experiencing whatever that you're experiencing, right? I think Lovely mentioned about when we are going through things, we kind of create these narratives, a psychological narrative in our mind where we are actually playing against whatever that we're thinking. So we're manifesting all these negative thoughts and these emotions that we're experiencing. But for me, doing the opposite of moving in silence, actually going out there, right? The first conversation is, following Lawrence, the DC trip, Philly trip, we're talking about finance, like really in depth about finances and network. And from there, that path has got me to this point. From him really guiding me, but motivating me and placing more confidence within me that I'm able to do these things. Doing Toastmasters, like, hey, place it on Facebook, like, I don't want to, like, being afraid to do so because I'm afraid to be judged, right? I'm afraid I don't sound right, or I didn't enunciate correctly, or saying too much, Toastmasters. So it's this fearful thing that you're constantly thinking about people judging you. But from those posts I was placing, being transparent about my finances, want to be a homeowner, but I was afraid to do so. But I recall doing a LinkedIn article about raising my investment from starting from $3,000 to over $30,000 and within, less than 4 years. So within that, the talks, people are realizing like, hey, she's actually placing action from her personal finances and doing the things. So I felt as though not really being projective and engaging with people like what I'm doing is you're losing out on blessings. You're really blocking your blessings because doing those articles, staying in contact with Lawrence, linked me up with Lovely. I was on Lovely podcast, and it led me to other podcasts as well. Those opportunities came because people realizing I'm positioning myself, right? I'm positioning myself with who I'm destined to be, right? So it's not just acting and placing things for life. Like this is what I'm actively doing. This what has been working for me. Some things have not been working for me, and I'm going to voice that as well. Recently, placing out there where I had an interview with bankrate.com about being laid off in 2020 after I closed on my home. You know how embarrassing I felt, closing on a home, new job, master degree, and getting laid off. Like I didn't know the hell I was going to do, right? It's that fear for ad, but more or less I was afraid of being judged. And I had to kind of get over that narrative and understand is if I didn't voice my story, I wasn't going to be on the WLRN radio, Bankrate. Like people are relating to the story. They're not judging you because it happened. They're looking at you like, how did you get over it? Like, what did you do? And I think those stories matters. And we're doing a disservice to ourselves of not voicing those stories, not really putting things out there because we really can help others when we're doing so. So for me, doing the opposite of moving in silence has helped me tremendously. And I'm always gonna be engaging, be out there. Anyone to hit me up, you can ask questions or whatever. Like I'm learning. I'm not an expert. I'm doing the best that I can. But I think that's what people want to see. It's really authentic, genuine people who are trying. What are you doing with the time that you have? You guys know that one of my close family friends lost her husband from cardiac arrest. I went to a funeral almost a week ago. She lost her husband on the morning of my birthday. And I seen him 2 months ago when he did my haircut. He lost his life. They've been together over 20 something years. Looking at him in the casket just brought tears to my eyes, but more or less seeing my close friend lose the love of her life, right? Instantly. He died in her arms from cardiac arrest. So I had to kind of recalibrate, like, what am I doing with the time that I have? What excuses is more that I cannot push forward and just get it done? Really just get it done. What legacy am I going to leave behind? I'm not just talking about, the offsprings. I'm not talking about that. Like, what real legacy am I going to leave behind? How did I inspire people? How did I make you feel while I was on this earth? Did I motivate you to try within yourself to push forward? That's what I want to do. And I think that doing a disservice to yourself of not staying silent is not only killing the dreams within yourself, but killing potential dreams that you may put in someone else. And that's how I land my plane, Lawrence.
That's how I land my plane. Like, hey, Lovely was moved, and she was right up to them tears, and she's like, "What the heck?" That's how I land my plane. What? But it's true. There's a lot to be. So far, I don't know if we listed them out, but that first one is not using roadblocks and obstacles as the excuse, right? To make it the ultimate excuse. Either it is, hey, it's because of my kids, it's because of my job, because of the friends around me, is because of something. Not allowing all these because of become the ultimate excuse that leaves you there hot, high, and dry, years down the line. That's the first one. The second one, do we got a second one in there? Lovely. You can go ahead, you go ahead. Like, did you write them down? Okay. Then, well, the second one is not moving in silence. That's another one, right? because moving in silence might, shut down, opportunities that exist not only for yourself but also for others. So we create not even by the proxy of ourselves, growth and change, but we also create growth and change for others. So we might be the miracle for other people. Ultimately, I think Alainta brought it up almost like a third effect is like, what kind of legacy are you leaving? No matter what, it's not about this legacy of just having multiple kids or having like the big house or, the fast cars. That's not the legacy she's speaking of. She's talking about the legacy of what have you done and accomplished in this world that really changed the trajectory of some people's lives. I think that's very important. We don't necessarily talk about it or uplift that enough. Especially, obviously we know celebrities that make changes, but we often, forget that those celebrities are just people too. So everybody, you waking up in the morning, how you wake up and how you address and attack the day really matters to the people around you, even more so than the celebrities. Yeah, they might have seen Obama do something. Maybe they might have seen Simone Biles flip upside down. But, let's say if you're a mom, your kid is looking at you because they think you're Simone Biles, level of greatness out here. And she's watching you and how you move and how you perform, and how you act and react. So there are people just around you every day that are looking and they're finding inspiration by even the way you walk and talk. And that should not be silenced. What else you got?
That was good, Law.
I definitely, I'm good. I'm like,
great summary.
It was a great summary. See, I was silent. I was listening because it was really good. Really good segue. Those are three important pillars. And in terms of legacy, I think that was really important that we started off with the idea of like your child shouldn't be like used as a blocker or reason why you're not achieving. And I think that's why a lot of sometimes you do see parents become resentful for their children, because it's like they're lived through them, they want to be with them, and then they end up like pulling back and saying, oh, I did all these things for you, why are you not doing whatever? And if we truly understand legacy is providing a platform, right? Providing a place for people to propel. And so when you're giving space, when you're allowing people to be who they are by proxy of you being you, one of the things that I've been writing down, and I don't have a child yet, but I want to in the future, is that essentially is having that essential concept that, hey, you are who you are called to be. I'm just here as a facilitator. You're going to learn how to live life by the way I live my life. I want you to watch and see and be able to grow. And so that in that way, growth and just being in that place of growth is not necessarily me telling them you have to be a doctor. Me telling them this is what you have to do, but leaving the legacy of just having the space for you to grow because you saw your mom go after her dreams. You saw your mom do her best. And I want to have that for everybody that comes around my circle. It's just the ability to connect and grow. So I think those three pillars were really good. We'll just be wrapping up in a few, but it's going to be good if you listen and take action. I'm going to leave that with you guys. You probably hear me say this almost every episode, is that there's always this good information and nuggets that's going to be dropped, these gems. But if you don't do anything with them, like if you don't learn how to stop moving in silence, if you don't learn how to actually learn how to create a legacy and also not use excuses, it's going to be really hard for you to see what we're saying. So my biggest thing is, before we kind of wrap up, is take what you need out of this and write down 3 things that you're going to start doing. 3 things from each of those pillars that we talked about, 3 things that you're going to be doing differently. I really feel like if you listen and you do, then you'll be able to see the results. I thank you guys for your time, for listening, but the biggest thing is you taking action. I don't know if Alainta, Lawrence have anything else to say to wrap up, but I hope that you guys listen to the Financial Griot for the rest of your lives. Well, until we stop making episodes. We don't know how long they'll be, but
we get rich. We're getting rich.
PFG. What's good?
Yeah. So, but overall, thank you guys for listening.
You can find us. We're supposed to wrap up with that. People always forget. You got to wrap up with where you can find.
Oh, I thought you guys were wrapping up because I don't have my glasses, so I just saw the only word I saw in the message was wrap up. No lie. I can't even lie to you.
Wow. See,
wrap up.
This is the genius of the Financial Griot. We out here, we're just cutting it. We're just gonna cut this raw. Like you wing it all the way through. All right, cool.
There's no edits.
I'm gonna say my name is Delva-Gonzalez. every once in a while I'll say just Gonzalez because I'm still getting used to the whole Delva-Gonzalez thing. But you can find me at www.theneighborhoodfinanceguy.com or on IG. Throwing shade as always to anybody that got heat for me because it's Dane County all day, 305 to the day we die. Or maybe we can't say that anymore. Okay, it's just 305. Just 305. Like, every other county in Florida is not that same.
Yeah, Dane is not really considered Florida. So, yo. Hey, what's up, guys? So, my name is Alainta. You can find me on social media on IG specifically. It's Alainta. So that's ITS_Alainta, ALAINTA. You can also hit me up on my YouTube channel. I have new content coming soon, one dropping tomorrow that I'm pretty sure people will be interested in hearing this particular story. My YouTube is my name, it's Alainta, ALAINTA, where I discuss personal finance, naturalized money talk, and really just discuss everything in between. So that's self-development, mental health. It's a lot of cool stuff that I'll be placing on my content. So hit me up there.
All right. My name's Lovely Merdelus. Just hit me up on Instagram at Lovely Merdelus. It'll be in the show page notes. I'm working on some things. I'm rebranding, and I'll let you guys know all the new places because I'm getting like a real focus of the pillar things that I want to speak about. But for now, just hit me up on Instagram at Lovely Merdelus or LinkedIn. I do actually accept requests and talk to people like in real life. I do have a business that we do business consulting, but don't reach out to us if you're not ready. Like, cause don't waste my time. I love y'all, but don't waste my time. At www.1159inc.com. It was a wonderful episode. You guys be safe.
Peace and love.
Thank you for listening to the Financial Griot podcast, powered by the Wealth Builders Collective.